Last week for these NFL predictions, we did not do very good. I haven't gone over our picks yet, but I have them right here. So we are 22 and 10, going 11 and 5 in the first 2 weeks, 11 right, 5 incorrect. Last week, I haven't done the totals yet, but just by me remembering who I picked and how things went, I don't think it went very well. So, getting into it, Bills did win, so that's 1. Falcons did the complete opposite of winning. They didn't score any points and they lost, so that's 1 and 1. My upset of the week did not take place. The Titans did not beat the Colts. They were not even close, so that's 1 and 2. The Steelers were able to get the win, so that's 2 and 2. Bucks had a late scare against the Jets, but they got the win, so that's 3 and 2. Eagles, same thing, got down big early, had a late scare. I mean, not really a late scare, but still opportunity to lose the game, but blocked the kick. So that's 3 and 2. Bengals got absolutely destroyed. That's 3 and 3. The Jaguars, they did win. Yes, they did beat the Texans, so that's 4 and 3. Packers did not win, and this one is fun because I told you guys when we were doing these picks last week to watch out for this Browns-Packers game. I said it wasn't a gimme. I said if you are in a survivor pool and you're picking the Packers because it's an easy dub against the Browns, well, you're no longer in your survivor pool. So that is 4 and 4. Raiders did not win. That's 4 and 5. Chargers did win, 5 and 5. Seahawks, yes, 6 and 5. Niners, yes, 7 and 5. Bears, yes. Oh, we actually picked the Bears. I thought I picked the Cowboys for some reason, but we did pick the Bears, so another good pick by me there. What is that? 9 and 5. Chiefs did win, 10 and 5, and Ravens did not. Ravens not winning just is another thing for me to say this is why they will never be in the Super Bowl, because they struggle against these top-rated teams. They lost week 1 to the Bills. Now, granted, they did have a fourth quarter lead, and it was kind of a collapse, whatever you want to say. But they still didn't get it done. They didn't beat the Bills. They didn't beat the Lions. And the only team they've beaten is the Browns. And those last two teams, Chiefs and Ravens, play each other this week. One of those AFC teams is going to go to 1 and 3, barring a tie. But likelihood of that not happening. So one of those teams can be 1 and 3. You might be surprised who I have winning it, but we'll see when we get there. So that is a 10 and 6 record for week 3. That's just one game worse than we did in the previous weeks. So not bad. So that's going to make us 32 and 16 on the season. Go ahead and fill that in there and get our week 4 picks ready. Okay, here we go. Got it pulled up here. We got Seattle, Arizona tonight. Thursday night football, Seattle, Arizona, divisional matchup. I like to say that anything can happen in those. We have Seattle minus 1.5. This did open up at Arizona minus 1.5, so the bettors are going the opposite way, and for good reason. The Seahawks have looked good. Their defense has been playing really well. Their offense has kind of been just getting it done. They really didn't need much offense against the Saints because their special teams and defense did all the work. Tonight, over under of 43.5. I think it hits the under. Both these teams have been playing good defense. Both these teams' offenses aren't really explosive. For fantasy, I am in the just amazing spot of having to start DeMarcado tonight for the Cardinals. So wish me luck on that. I don't like starting players on Thursday night, and I certainly don't want to start a timeshare backup running back for the Cardinals against the Seattle defense. But it's fantasy football, and that's where we're at right now. So if DeMarcado does anything good, then you'll know I'm happy. For this game, though, I think I'm going to go Seattle. I do think they win the game. Their defense is good. Their offense is better than the Cardinals. I don't know what to make of the Cardinals. I mean, they are 2 and 1. Their 2 wins were against the Saints and Panthers, and both those teams had an opportunity to win the game at the end. And then last week, they played a tough game against the Niners and had a chance to win that one as well. They actually went up late with a safety, got the ball back, weren't able to do anything with it. So Cardinals could win it. Fun little fact, they are wearing their rivalry uniforms tonight. So the first look we get at one of those on the field. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Seahawks. They just seem like the better team, and I expect them to win. Moving on to the Sunday slate. The Dublin-Ireland game, our second international game, because we had the week 1 with the Chargers and Chiefs. Our second, whoops. I love it when I hit keys on accident. Our second international game in Dublin, Ireland. Minnesota is -2.5. It is still Carson Wentz starting. And for the Steelers, it's still Aaron Rodgers starting. Minnesota, is tough to know who they are. We know they have a good defense, but their offense we can't figure their offense out. We had week 1, J.J. McCarthy had the second half come back against the Bears, and he looked good. And then week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons, he looked awful. Got injured in that game. And week 3, we had Carson Wentz, and the Minnesota defense just did all the work against the Bengals. And we know the Bengals defense can't stop anybody. On the flip side, we have the Steelers, whose defense has looked bad. And then last week, they hold New England to just 14 points, and they forced 5 turnovers. So this is kind of an interesting matchup in the aspect of we don't really know who these two teams are going to be for this season. And I'm looking at this right now, tickets as low as $799. Who the hell is paying $800? And that's as low. That's not saying like tickets as high as, tickets as low as $800, as if that's a good deal. Apparently Dublin, Ireland's got money, and they're going to spend it watching the Vikings and Steelers go at it, putting up 17-10 score. If that score is correct, by the way. Don't at me. Or at me, actually. Gosh. I lean Pittsburgh because Carson Wentz. The Vikings offense, I like the Steelers offense a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to go Steelers. Both teams have kind of been, one game they're good, next game they're not. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Washington, Atlanta. Don't know if Jayden Daniels is going to start, but it really doesn't matter for me. Atlanta is another team that's, they were able to win week 2 at Minnesota. That was a weird game. They lost week 1 against Tampa, had a chance to win at the end. They got destroyed last week to the Panthers, of all teams. Washington looked good against the Raiders last week with Mariota. If it's Mariota or Jayden Daniels, I'm still picking the Commanders. Either way, I got the Commanders winning this one. Did I spell that correct? Nope, I did not. There we go. Next game, New Orleans at Buffalo. Oh my God. Buffalo minus 15.5. New Orleans looks, their first 2 games were at home. They were competitive. Their first game on the road, they get destroyed. Their second game on the road, they are projected to get destroyed. I keep telling you guys every week, though, these high lines for the NFL, more often than not, they get covered. This isn't college football where we have the minus 40 lines and they get covered. Minus 15.5 is a really big line for the NFL. And I could see the Saints covering. Now, I'm not saying they're going to cover and make this a competitive game throughout, but Buffalo could get up, 28-0 quick. And the rest of the game, the Saints are just playing against the Bills' backups and they make it 31-20. You know? So it could be a lot of garbage time scoring for New Orleans to make the line be covered. I'm not saying the Saints are going to win this game. Picking New Orleans to beat Buffalo in Buffalo would be borderline, and actually no, it would be insane to do. I'm not going to do it. Buffalo's going to win, but I'm just saying, if the Saints cover the spread, don't be surprised. It's a large line for the NFL. Last week's team to pull off the upset that I warned everybody about, the Cleveland Browns at the Detroit Lions, who are looking like they're rounding into midseason form. We're not going to call another trap game. If this game was in Cleveland, it would have my attention a little bit more, but it's not in Cleveland. So I got Detroit winning again, 9.5. Kind of a larger line for the NFL. Well, that's better than the 15.5. This Detroit line is actually going down. This was 10.5. I know it's just a point, but still. Looks like some people are kind of banking on Cleveland to do a double upset, maybe. I wouldn't do it. But Detroit, I got them winning. They're looking like they're getting their groove together. And I do expect them to cover the Lions. I expect the Lions to cover in this matchup. Carolina, New England. This is another interesting game. Both teams haven't looked good. Both teams 1-2. New England is at home, -5.5. I think that's a bit of a large line with how the Panthers played last week. Week 1, they did not look good against the Jaguars. But that was in Jacksonville, and they had the weather delay. Week 2, they made the big comeback against the Cardinals and nearly won the game. And I guess they kind of carried over that momentum into week 3, and they just completely beat the Falcons. Can the Panthers get it together? Can they get a surprise win in New England? New England hasn't looked good in their own right. They lost to the Raiders in week 1 at home. They barely beat the Dolphins in week 2. They lost to the Steelers in week 3. I'm going to pick the Panthers. I think the Panthers come into Foxborough and they get the win. The -5.5 line is, I think, a little too much. I think it should be like -2.5 New England. I know they're getting the home favoritism, but they haven't showed anything that would say they are definitively a better team than Carolina. Chargers, Giants. Jackson Dart is getting his debut. This is another game to be careful with. This is like Green Bay and Cleveland last week. This is a game to be careful with. Do not assume 110% this is the Chargers for the taking. The line's going up. It was what? -6 Chargers maybe? Now it's -6.5. I always say West Coast teams going across the country for the early AM slot time, those games can be sneaky. Chargers are 3-0. They've looked really good. Giants are 0-3. They have not looked good. But 3-0 team sometimes does not play as desperately as an 0-3 team who is at home, who has the hype of their rookie quarterback with his expectations starting. There is no pro tape on him. There is no NFL tape on him. And sometimes when these first-time starters come out at quarterback and there's no professional tape on them, they can have a good game. I am not going to pick the Giants, but it's a sneaky one. It's this week's sneaky game of the week, okay? It is. I would not be absolutely surprised if the Giants can win this game. I would not be. Moving on to Philly, Tampa. Philly minus 3.5 on the road. Tampa Bay is playing a little bit injured with no Evans. The game is in Tampa. Philly has not had success in Tampa Bay in recent years, especially with Jalen Hurts. This one, I would lean Tampa. Both teams are 3-0, by the way. 3-0 versus 3-0. One of the teams going 4-0, barring a tie, but most likely 4-0. I'm leaning Tampa or I would lean Tampa if they were healthy. They're not healthy. Baker can surprise and get it done, but both teams have a good defense. Well, Tampa's defense is good against the run. Philly's defense is just kind of good overall. Philly off of their big comeback win last week. Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles. I think Eagles find a way to get it done and go to 4-0. Tennessee, Houston. Someone's getting their first win. 0-3 versus 0-3. Texans minus 7.5. The Titans, they play their opponents close for a half. And then the second half, I guess they just stop playing football or something because it always gets away from them. I don't think this game gets away from them. Houston has not proven to be able to put up points or move the ball. Can Tennessee go into Houston and win this game? Can Tennessee's offense do more than Houston's? I don't know. Tennessee doesn't have a good offense. Houston doesn't have a good offense. Tennessee's defense, I think, is actually borderline good. They just can't get off the field because their offense can't stay on the field. Same thing with the Texans. The Texans' defense is good. They can't get off the field because their offense can't stay on the field. Both teams are 0-3. Both teams aren't good. But I'm going to go with the home team. I think the Texans can get the win here. It's not going to be pretty. I think they do. I think they get the win. Colts. Okay, the Colts and the Rams. Rams are favored. Both teams have been good on offense. Rams kind of had their big lead collapse on the Eagles last week. That was on the road. They are back at home. I can see the Colts winning, but they're 3-0. Rams are going to want to get back that game that they gave away against the Eagles. I got the Rams winning. Jacksonville, San Francisco. San Francisco is favored. Jacksonville is somehow 2-1 when their offenses look terrible. Niners are 3-0. Yeah, this is Niners. This is 49ers just because the Jaguars are not a good team. Baltimore, Kansas City. Here we go. This is going to be the game of the afternoon. One of these teams is going to 1-3. The game is in Kansas City, and Baltimore is favored minus 2.5. Wow. Mahomes and the Chiefs are not favored at home again. They weren't favored against the Eagles, and you could say they should have won that game. Baltimore coming on the road is favored. Baltimore, what makes anybody think that they have looked so good? They lost that game against the Bills. They got just manhandled by the Lions. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I would see the Ravens going to 1-3 more than I would see the Chiefs going to 1-3, and they're at home. I don't think Mahomes goes to 1-3. I think they figure it out. I think they somehow win this game. Bears, Raiders. Raiders have just looked terrible. They are at home. Maybe the Bears offense is going to figure it out. Bears. Double Monday night header. That is not spread out. Both games essentially going to, well, they will be running at the same time, but almost kicking off at the same time, which is an hour apart. The first one is Jets and Dolphins. The Jets are favored at home. Jets should get Justin Fields back. Dolphins played a competitive game against the Bills on Thursday night last week. Jets are winless. Dolphins are winless. So someone's going to 0-4. Jets nearly had a comeback win against Tampa Bay, but that was with Tyrod Taylor, though, not just Fields. Like I said, Miami played well against the Bills. Just Tua had a Tua moment and threw a bad interception. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Lose this game, does their coach get fired? If the Dolphins lose at home on Monday night against the Jets, who are also 0-3, does their coach get fired? It's a possibility. Especially if the Dolphins show no form of competitiveness in this game, like they just get straight out beat by the Jets, I could see them firing their coach very well. I'm going to pick the Dolphins. I can see the Jets winning. I mean, they could carry over the momentum of coming back against the Bucs last week. They should have won week 1 with Justin Fields. Or could have, I should say. The Dolphins' defense is so bad. Jets' defense hasn't really proven that they are good. This one's a toss-up for me. You know, I'm gonna go Jets. I'm gonna go Jets. That way we're not so chalk here. And I'm pick Jets. Our next game is easy Broncos. I'm not even gonna break this one down for you. That's an easy Denver for me. It's in Denver. Jake Browning and the Bengals are terrible without Joe Burrow, and the Bengals defense can't stop anybody. So that one's an easy Denver. And that is it. That is the whole schedule for this week in the NFL. It's going to start bye weeks next week. Week 5 is the start of bye week, so we will have a few less games to talk about, but that is it. Those are our picks. I'll give you a look at them one more time in case you have short-term memory loss. There they are. There's our week 4 picks. We have gotten double-digit right the first 3 weeks, so hopefully we can continue that trend and get double-digit picks correct. Enjoy the games this weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. I hope your team does well. I hope your fantasy team does well. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you for tuning in. Another week of NFL predictions. And I will see you guys on the next one.